Welcome to the program, everyone. Support comes from ZBiotics. If you enjoy a night out, a cocktail with friends, or celebrating during the holidays, this is for you. ZBiotics makes a product called Pre-Alcohol. It is the first genetically engineered probiotic designed to help you feel better the next day. It was created by PhD scientists, and it works differently than anything else out there. When you drink, alcohol gets turned into a toxic byproduct right in your gut. It's that buildup. It's not dehydration. That is what usually causes those rough mornings. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme that breaks that byproduct down before it catches up with you. You just make it your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly and let it do its thing. I use pre-alcohol on nights when I know I've got a full day ahead. The next morning, I feel clearer, more focused, and not dragging. Make the most of every toast this holiday season. Go to zbiotics.com/lemon. Use the code LEMON for 15% off of your first order. They also offer a 100% money back guarantee. That's zbiotics.com/lemon. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lemon Live at 5. Glad that you are here. This does not look like Don's studio. Well, it doesn't, because this is where we are. A little orange, a little red, because this is stage lighting. I'll show you. We're on the stage here at City Winery, and I am doing the show from here because this is where the Lemon Nation will be live this evening, okay? So thanks for joining us. We have a big show planned for you. We're going to talk about these ICE raids that are happening around the country. I think people are getting used to them. The media doesn't cover them as much, but they are really getting worse. And they are getting even more inhumane, if that was even possible. And they are rounding up U.S. citizens and people who have no criminal records. We did a show on Friday or on Thursday, and people were thanking us for continuing to bring these just horrible raids and people being rounded up on the streets in America, okay? So we'll get to that in just a little bit. We've got lots of news for you. Make sure you hit the like, hit the thumbs up. It affects the algorithm. More people become aware of our conversation and our channel, and that's really important for us. But welcome, everybody, to City Winery in Philadelphia. Don's in Philly, and then Wednesday, we're in Chicago. You know, one of these days I'm going to start. I had my friends. I had Jen Welch on the road where she came and did a show with us. Joy Reid was a special guest. Anthony Scaramucci. I think we need to get Oliver Darcy to become, one of our folks who joined the Lemon Nation on the road. And since I mentioned Oliver Darcy, I'm going to bring him in. Oliver Darcy.
Hey, Don.
Is a friend of mine. Hi, Oliver. Is a veteran media journalist and the author of Status newsletter. And Oliver's going to fill us in on this Paramount Warner Brothers possible merger. Looks like it is probably going to happen. It's going to be a while, though. And to tell us why it's really important. I find it important because I find the consolidation of conservative media and so much media in the hands of so few people. I find it really problematic for the United States. Maybe Oliver feels differently. Oliver, hello to you. Welcome. When are you coming out on the road with us?
You got to let me know which city you want me in.
That's it?
That's it.
New York is easy for you, right? You don't
New York
want to come.
Would be easy. I'm right here.
Wait a minute. Do you think this is, I was asking my team before I came on, do you think this is a little too much merch? What do you think? That's a lot.
I was just thinking, as you have that hat on, next time I do your show, I got to have some sort of either a sweater or a hat or something.
You've got to. Well, I'm wearing it for a good reason here because it is cold in Philadelphia. It's cold in New York today, but it's so cold here in Philly. And so that's why I'm doing this. Yes. So Oliver, thank you. Oliver, do you share my concerns about these mergers and this consolidation of conservative media and, Barry Weiss and the Ellisons that are really close to Donald Trump? Do you share that concern?
Definitely. I share. I think that consolidation of media in general has been concerning, and I don't know if it's great for consumers. And I think that the regulatory agencies that are going to look at this are going to have significant concerns, whether it's Netflix trying to buy Warner's assets or whether it's Paramount and David Ellison. I think obviously with Paramount and David Ellison, what's of interest to your audience is they'd own CNN, right? And they've been sucking up to Donald Trump. David Ellison today said that he had spoken to Donald Trump about CNN should they end up purchasing it. And I think, the Ellisons not only owning CBS News, but then owning the world's leading news network should be certainly cause for concern.
Yeah. Thank you. I'm glad you agree. Let me just tell the folks the story, and then I'm going to talk about what you talked about, Oliver. I'm going to follow up a little bit on it. But Paramount on Monday mounted this hostile takeover bid for Warner Brothers Discovery. It was really like a last minute, quite a brazen attempt, as the New York Times puts it, at securing these assets, trying to secure this Hollywood prize snatched away from Netflix last week. Netflix announced an $83 billion deal to buy a big part of Warner Brothers Discovery on Friday, in an agreement approved by the boards of both companies. In a news release on Monday, Paramount went around the Warner Brothers Discovery board and straight to the shareholders with what it's called a superior offer. They're gonna they pay $30 per share in cash, valuing the company at $108 billion, including debt. It said it was going to shareholders because the board of Warner Brothers Discovery is pursuing an inferior proposal that would lead to a challenging regulatory approval process. Now, I've spoken to some folks. Paramount has offered, let me read this part, I think it's important, has offered to buy all of Warner Brothers Discovery, including the Warner Brothers movie studio, the HBO Max streaming service, and a portfolio of cable channels, including CNN. The cable channels are not part of the Netflix deal. So they're kind of different deals. But anyways, now, this, as I talk to media insiders and people who have run companies, they say that the last one, well, David Ellison, I don't know, did you see the interview where he was on CNBC, Oliver?
I did, yeah.
And he's saying the last offer to the board that it was, he doesn't know if it was presented because they never even returned, with a counter or just to say thank you or anything. Am I correct with that?
That's what he said. I've asked Warner Brothers Discovery actually if that's true, why they wouldn't even respond at all, and I haven't heard back. And I don't think they've said anything. They just said they have 10 days to respond formally to his offer. But that would be striking and strange that they wouldn't even acknowledge receipt of their offer.
Is that because maybe someone who is a big player there is not going to have in the Paramount deal, they wouldn't have a position for such unnamed person?
That's certainly what a lot of people think. So there's a lot going on here, Don. For your listeners who might not know, David Zaslav, who's the chief executive of Warner Brothers Discovery, which is the company that oversees, it's the parent company for CNN, HBO Max, Warner Brothers Pictures. He very much enjoys the trappings, I'd say, of being the boss of that company. He enjoys rubbing shoulders with the movie stars and going to dinner at fancy places and sitting behind Jack Warner's desk. And so the suspicion, I think, amongst industry insiders is that he would move the deal to a company that allowed him a high profile position so he stays relevant. Now, he has a fiduciary responsibility to shareholders, as of the Warner Brothers Discovery board. So in theory, they should keep him in check, but certainly that hasn't stopped speculation from people who think that David Zaslav prefers the Netflix deal because maybe there's something in it for him in terms of a position.
Yeah, because because everyone thought that this Paramount thing was a done deal. Like, oh, Paramount's going to get this. And then all of a sudden they announced it. Was it yesterday or Saturday? No, it was Friday. They announced that that Netflix was going to buy it. So that was an interesting turn of events, or at least sometime this weekend. And then this morning we wake up to the news like, no, Paramount has gone behind the thing. This is what Donald Trump said, which is interesting to me because, he says the quiet part out loud, even if it's there, might be some, you can infer that it's collusion of some sort, but this is what Donald Trump said about this.
Should they be allowed to buy Warner Brothers? Should Netflix?
Well, that's the question. They have a very big market share. And when they have Warner Brothers, that share goes up a lot. So I don't know. That's going to be for some economists to tell. And I'll be involved in that decision too. They have a very big market share.
Did he make any guarantees to you about the merger if they do merge?
No, not at all. He came up. He was in the Oval Office last week. I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great person. But he's done one of the greatest jobs in the history of movies and other things. He's got a lot of interesting things happening aside from what you're talking about. But it is a big market share. There's no question about it. It could be a problem.
Mr. President,
so he's saying that I will be involved in that. Should he be saying that, Oliver?
You probably should not be saying that. But it's interesting that he suggested that Netflix will have regulatory issues should they try moving forward with this deal. And then what's also interesting, Don, is despite David Ellison and Larry Ellison sucking up to Donald Trump, he bashed them earlier this morning in this deranged, unhinged True Social post.
Yeah. Can we get that, Andy? This is from this morning. You're talking about 60 Minutes and Marjorie Taylor Greene and Leslie Stahl's interview. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, they had the Leslie Stahl interview Marjorie Taylor Greene last night, and that apparently triggered Donald Trump, and he just went crazy saying that actually 60 Minutes has gotten worse under the new ownership of the Ellisons. And you can see it there now. He says that he demands a complete and total apology. And he says that they are not better than old ownership. So, if you're David Ellison and you really are counting on Donald Trump being in your corner, I imagine you're paying very close attention to that. And it makes you wonder too, whoever tries getting this deal done, they are probably going to have to bend the knee a few times to Donald Trump to get his blessing here.
So, Oliver, I think both you and I were at CNN at the time of the AT&T merger, right? And Donald Trump held that one up. He was, for like a year, but eventually he had to relent. It went through. What's different this time? Is there any difference? He can hold something up, but he can't completely block it. Can he? Maybe he can.
He could cause a lot of problems, surely. His DOJ, his Department of Justice, can sue to stop the deal. And then it's up to Netflix in court to prove that they would not basically be a monopoly, or they would not be violating antitrust laws if they were to purchase Warner Brother Discovery. And same with Paramount. Now, you can argue the case on either side, and there's a lot of people talking about whether Netflix buying it, they're really competing against YouTube and Amazon, which are much bigger still. The other side says that if the number one streamer buys the number three streamer, that's a big regulatory problem that could be bad for consumers. And so there's going to be a lot of regulatory agencies that weigh in here, Don. That's the short end of it. Donald Trump can certainly apply pressure and make the regulatory hurdles a lot more difficult to clear for either, Netflix or Paramount. And so they are going to want his blessing. They do not want an angry Donald Trump in the Oval Office making their lives difficult.
Okay. The interesting thing to me, Andy, put this up if you will, because I shouldn't be shocked, but I was surprised, I shouldn't be surprised, to see that Jared Kushner has now somehow gotten involved in this, and perhaps you can explain. And there's a whole lot of foreign money. As a matter of fact, I'm reading from the Hollywood Reporter here. It says, the filing confirms that Paramount's tender offer is also supported by $24 billion in debt financing, from sovereign wealth funds from Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and Abu Dhabi, as well as from Jared Kushner's affinity partners. The tender includes a copy of the December 4 offer, which did include that financing. Abu Dhabi, the Saudis, Qatar, and Kushner are foregoing governance in the company if a deal goes through. Okay, so I asked someone who knows, who's in the know about this. And I said, I sent him that and I circled it and I said, how is this possible? Because I thought you can't have this much foreign influence in American media. It's all because they want regulatory certainty and they want control of CNN. He believes, this person says, that people are missing that part of the story, that Trump wants control of CNN. And that Ellison now, as has been reported, has admitted that they have spoken to Trump about CNN. And it's really crazy. The foreign money, they claimed they're giving governance rights, what they believe are giving up governance rights. But my source says it's a wink and a nod, wink, wink. What do you say?
I can't imagine that all these countries are investing for nothing, right? The entire idea is to buy influence. That's what they want. They want influence in American media. And so they're not handing over billions of dollars just for the hell of it, Don, right? Like that. This is pretty clear. They probably want a few things. They probably would love, the White Lotus to be shot in Saudi Arabia one season. They love, Tom Cruise to be shooting Mission Impossible, in Doha or Abu Dhabi or wherever. And I'm sure that they're looking at the portfolio of assets and seeing CNN in there. And they'd probably love some more favorable coverage. They'd like to have some influence there. And so, I think that there's probably, it's hard to imagine there wouldn't be some sort of understanding that, should they be successful in this takeover, that this would be beneficial for these Middle Eastern countries.
Well, especially since, CNN is international. I mean, CBS News, it's big, but doesn't have the international arm that CNN does, or the international footprint. I'm not wrong with that, right?
No, you're not wrong at all.
Yeah. And so this would be, I guess, appealing to the Saudis. You know what I'm saying? Appealing to them because they get to see themselves being reported on through CNN International.
And maybe it's, it's not even sometimes the editorial too. It's just maybe there's a CNN bureau in Saudi Arabia all of a sudden, right? Maybe they have the idea. I think when you look at these countries, what they really want is to switch their economies from being petrostates to tourism magnets, right? So you're seeing a lot of deals to bring in entertainment companies into the Middle East. So you saw Disney, for instance, launch Disney. They're going to do Disney Abu Dhabi and have a whole theme park out there. But the problem for a country like Saudi Arabia in particular is that people think it's dangerous. They do not want to go there. And so how do you change that perception in the Western mind? So Americans are suddenly deciding they want to go vacation in Saudi Arabia, or they want to go to Doha, right? The way you do that is through media. You normalize it through media. And so if you have a CNN, let's just say, bureau in Saudi Arabia, and CNN saying it's okay to be here, it's fine, it's not that bad actually, and you have movie stars going to the Middle East, and I mean, this is what they're paying for, this is what they want. And so that's why they're probably willing to put up a lot of money, because they want this influence. So Americans in particular, and Western society says, you know what, it's not so bad over there. I wouldn't mind spending a lot of money on my vacation in Saudi Arabia or the UAE or Doha. It actually looks very nice. And so I think that's the main motivating factor here, Don. And I think you can accomplish it in several different ways, but CNN would certainly be key to that.
So the quid pro quo, or the influence, doesn't necessarily come through governance. It comes through having a presence, a footprint, and they're able to change the narrative about their country, whichever it is, to the American people, and more Americans will come over there, invest, vacation, all of those things.
John, you know those like as seen on TV ads you see, and you go to the website, and a lot of times when you go on there, it says like as featured on CNN, and it has the logo of CNN on there, or New York Times on there. Being adjacent to that brand is very valuable, right? Yeah. People know that brand that says CNN, they trust that logo. And so if there is any sort of relationship, just the idea of being adjacent, standing in the glow of that CNN red is a value.
Okay, so let's talk about what happens to the media now, especially to CNN. If you have CNN and you have CBS, right? And you've got Barry Weiss, and you got David Ellison and Larry Ellison, who's friends with the Trumps and are pretty much MAGA, I would say. That's a lot of conservative influence right there in the media, and people who are trying to, I believe, insert their values, their ideologies, whether it is political, religious, whatever, monetarily, into journalism.
And I think that's what Donald Trump wants, right? So when Donald Trump is thinking about who he would prefer to win this deal, I think the fact that David Ellison says he's talked to Trump about having CNN is a big deal, because Trump, I don't think, really cares about like what movies Warner Brother Discovery is going to make, or what movies, Paramount's going to put on its streamer. I think Donald Trump cares about what's on 60 Minutes and what's on CNN. That's what he watches. And so that's what he cares about. And so CNN is actually playing an outsized role here in this deal, I would say, because if you look at how much money it generates, or how big of it is as a business, it's small. It shouldn't be playing a big role.
That's what I wanted to ask you about that, because I talked to another source who actually ran big companies like that, and he said CNN has much bigger problems now, and that's like how to make money.
Right, CNN's struggling as a business. So it's not like the thing that people are. In fact, it's so not interesting to the business class that Netflix doesn't even want to buy it. Right? Yeah. They're saying you spin off your cable networks. We don't want your cable networks because they're all dying. People are switching to streaming thanks to Netflix, and so they just want to buy Warner Brothers Pictures, the movie studio, and HBO Max, the streamer, and HBO, obviously the crown jewel of a television. They don't want CNN. But that's what's interesting about this, though, is that as a business, CNN is very small in this overall picture here. But in Donald Trump's head, CNN's actually probably the largest thing. And so what's going on with CNN ends up mattering quite a bit. So, the coverage of CNN and what happens to CNN should David Ellison buy it, that's what you want to look at. And I think David Ellison, he's probably not saying this overtly, but they're very much indicating that they will make the network much more Trump friendly. And look what they're doing already with CBS News. They brought in Barry Weiss.
And they're doing it to an extent to CNN already too, don't you think? Come on.
Well, that's the funny thing, or the ironic thing here, is it's already happened to CNN under David Zaslav. So CNN softened its position against Donald Trump considerably. Like, the coverage of CNN today is much, much softer, no matter which way you cut it, than it was, 5 or 6 years ago under AT&T and Jeff Zucker. And so you think if that's not enough yet, and they wanted to soften even more, I think that's really a cause for concern, and certainly would change the network's DNA.
I found it interesting is talking to people about the valuation of CNN. I think it was, you mentioned years ago, AT&T and Jeff Zucker, it was like $12 billion. Now I think it's like $6 billion, or the profits have gone from like 1.2 billion to like 600 or 700 million, if that much, maybe 500 or 600 million a year. That's crazy. It was just in a couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I think that shows the decline of the business. It's not entirely CNN's fault here, although you could say some of it probably is because they've alienated viewers. But the larger thing here is that people are not turning on cable anymore. They are cutting the cord. They are saying, we don't need cable anymore. We'll just watch Netflix. We'll just pay for HBO Max. And so, how do you survive as a business if you are on a platform that people are constantly canceling? You have to move off that platform. You have to go straight to digital. And that's what CNN is doing. The problem is, it kind of seems a little late. We'll see what happens, but it seems late. They tried doing it with CNN Plus, but David Zaslav at Warner Brother Discovery bought, the company and shut CNN Plus down. And now
aren't they doing CNN Plus again? Is it
basically, I mean, it's a less expensive version of CNN Plus, but it's the same strategy as you can buy CNN directly now, via a digital subscription. And that's what CNN Plus was supposed to be. And now they're trying to do it, but they're years behind the curve.
Yeah. This one thing I want to put up. Chris B says, TV used to be free. I mean, I'm old enough to remember that. So, but we're not going back to that. And a lot of that changed, like, when they got rid of the regulation, Reagan and all those things, the advent of cable and cable news. And then, they started making, especially for the journalism part of it, they started making journalism a huge part of the profit center for the networks. And so that's where we are. Nothing is free anymore. And I would say for Oliver and for me, for independent journalists, it's a whole lot less than paying a couple $100s for cable to support us. It's just a couple dollars a month. More than this is, you spend more money on coffee than supporting us, don't you think?
That's true. Our subscription is like $2 a week or something. So how much does a Starbucks cost these days?
I don't know. A lot.
$4, $5? I don't even know. I know that's a lot.
Yeah. So Oliver, any final last words, or we're good? Do you think we covered it all? And how long?
We covered a lot. I mean, it's going to be, I think it's very important for what happens. If you care about how information flows through this country and you care about how society, culture is shaped via entertainment vessels, this deal, what happens here with Warner, is going to be very huge. I don't know when it will be. We don't know when it's going to, this is going to wrap up though, because they've launched this hostile bid to take over the company. Warner Brothers Discovery already agreed to sell itself to Netflix. And so this is going to be very messy, and it's probably going to, not be wrapped up by 2026, or at least through the new year.
Can it go back to Netflix? Can they do another offer? I guess they can, right? Whatever. It can just keep going up.
I've asked the smartest people on this, all day, what's likely to happen, and no one really knows what will happen. I mean, I think it's going to be very messy. It's possible that Netflix could bid more. It's possible that Warner shareholders could reject Paramount, and Paramount can come back with another even larger offer. We really don't know what's going to happen, but shareholders, I think, in Warner Brother Discovery are going to get to decide at the end of the day. And will they take the big cash offer from Paramount, or will they want to sell to Netflix, assuming they can unlock more value if they spin off the cable networks? It gets very, confusing, but it will be important for how our culture is shaped via Hollywood and how our information flows via, and news outlets like CNN.
Yeah, well, my spidey senses are pretty good, because when this Netflix thing was announced, and then I don't know if did you get the email from Netflix like, hey everybody, thank you, subscriber,
Right.
we have just purchased, or we're purchasing whatever, and I was like, they are writing this as if this is a done deal. This is not done. And I actually spoke to Tommy Christopher on Friday, and I was like, Tommy, Donald Trump is going to come back, and David Ellison, go back and look. And I said, they're going to come back, and that's going to be another offer. Or Donald Trump is going to want them together. There's going to be another round. He didn't agree with me, but I turned out to be right. I got good spidey senses there. So I think it's going to end up with Netflix, because I think Netflix has so much money. What do they have, like $500 billion, right?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, a lot.
They have so much money. They're just going to say, do it, because, I guess probably ego. They can afford it. And I think it does help their portfolio, and then they get to sort of take over. They get to, if they want to kill box office and have everybody get their movies on Netflix, they can do that. So I think it might end up with Netflix.
The question, though, if you're a Warner shareholder and you're voting on this, is do you think Netflix can actually clear the regulatory hurdles, given that it's the dominant streamer buying the number 3 streamer, right?
Yeah.
Or do you think, and if they can't, they owe like a $5+ billion breakup fee, but you don't get your money? Or do you think that David Ellison and Paramount can have the best chance, maybe because they have Donald Trump support, of clearing these regulatory hurdles? And if so, then you actually get paid. And so I think that's also what it comes down to.
But at the end of the day, they're going to get paid from Netflix. All they have to do is say, if Netflix is, well, then you can't do this. You can sell off this. But Netflix is actually, the footprint is not as big. It is big, but it's not as big as you think, because they're not buying, they're not buying the Food Network or, I don't know, whatever the other channels are. They're buying, they're not buying CNN, right? They would just be buying HBO, the big stuff.
Right.
Right.
Well, those are the big stuff. I mean, no one wants those other assets except apparently Ellison, but they want. I mean, that's the big thing, is they're going to have dominance in the streaming landscape, and that's where the future is. That's what's going to be making money 10 years from now. Not these cable networks. No one's going to be. I mean, some people will probably be paying for cable 10, 15 years from now, but by and large, people are not going to be. It's going to be subscribing on a streaming app on digital. So that's why they want those assets.
I went way longer. Oliver said I can join you for a few minutes. I got to. You're so good at this, Oliver.
Well, thank you.
But real quick before you go, you think Comcast is done with this? Comcast is not going to offer, right? Anything?
I don't think so. But this has been a crazy process. I think the one thing everyone's learned in this process is you can't rule anything out, Don. Yeah. Right. And so I think like this is just going to be a protracted war for these assets, and the people winning are the lawyers and the bankers.
Yeah. Yeah, with that $5 billion+ breakup fee, this is how I see it. I see Netflix having Warner Brothers, and then I see Comcast and Paramount getting together, and then they get Peacock and blah 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 blah. And that's how I see this playing out. And they get CBS, and MSNBC's already spun off. So there you go. That's how I see it. We'll see if it comes.
The other question too is if Netflix gets these the studio and the streamer, does David Ellison still want CNN and the cable networks? Right? They could always make a move to purchase those separately. I don't know if they want them. David Ellison was asked about this today on CNBC and did not answer one way or another. But that's also a possibility too, because they'll spin off those networks into a separate company, and David Ellison and Paramount could certainly move to acquire them should they want them. So another thing to watch.
Crazy. Thank you, Oliver Darth. Put up Oliver's newsletter. As a matter of fact, you have something up there. CNN breathes a sigh of relief. Netflix is $8.3 billion.
Well, it's already outdated.
Yeah, $83 billion. Well, so fast, of course. But so they were breathing a sigh of relief because they wouldn't have to go conservative or more conservative under Ellison. But now we shall see. But look, David gets really rich no matter what.
He's already really rich, Don.
Yeah.
He's a very wealthy man. But yes, he will get even wealthier, which is even wealthier. Quite astonishing given the way that this company's been run.
Yeah. Thank you. I'll see you soon. I appreciate it. Check out Status and also check out the Power Lines. I watched today. It was very good. Your assessment of the Olivia Nuzzi story, spot on.
Thank you, Don. If you just search on YouTube, if you're subscribers, for at status, you'll see us, and we do our podcast once a week. So we'd love to have you.
All right. Thank you, Oliver. We'll see you soon. There it is. Power Lines. That's it. Power Lines right there. Go check it out. Newsy breaks silence. MAGA rallies behind Hegseth, and Sabrina Carpenter slams. I don't know what the thing is. Okay. Thank you.
See you, Don.
See you later. Bye-bye. Okay, guys. So now we're going to talk about, have you guys seen how these immigration raids are ratcheting up? This is my duty. That story, I think it's important so that you know what's happening in media. And by the way, for you folks who are here, who are telling me that it's $7, $8, $9, $10 for a coffee, Nikki, we got to up our fees. We're not even anywhere near that for the lowest tier of membership. I mean, think about it. We don't have even so, these companies that are worth billions of dollars, and you guys are paying them hundreds of dollars a month for a cable thing. That's crazy. We work harder. We give more information. There's no corporate influence. You guys become a member, support us, and subscribe. $11. What? For coffee? Are you kidding me? What are you saying in the comments? It's not that expensive. It can't be. Anyways, we're going to talk about ICE and other stuff right after a word from our sponsors. This show is sponsored by MSI Reproductive Choices, an organization providing contraception, safe abortion, and essential reproductive health care in 36 countries, often in places where they're the only provider, actually. This has been an incredibly hard year for women and girls, especially in remote communities. International aid has been cut, programs are disappearing, clinics are closing, and the few options many women had are shrinking even further, but MSI is still there. They prepared for this moment years ago, diversifying their funding so that they wouldn't rely solely on U.S. government aid. Even so, they still lost $15 million, and they just kept going. Why? Because people refused to look away. People who believed in healthcare, that healthcare is a human right. People who know that when a woman controls her body, she controls her future. If you want to help, text LEMON to 511-511 or go to msiunitedstates.org. For $65, you can provide contraception for 10 women for an entire year. Text LEMON to 511-511 or visit msiunitedstates.org. Text fees may apply. Hey, we're sponsored by Inhumane, and this one genuinely surprised me. I just tried it this weekend, Inhumane, and I was stunned about how many data brokers were still selling and using my personal information, sites that I had never heard of. They had my name, contact details, and connections, and I never gave them permission for any of it. That's what most people don't see. You probably don't see it. Your data gets quietly collected, packaged, and sold in the background every single day. Inhumane helps by sending removal requests to these data brokers on your behalf, and they handle the follow-ups so you don't have to. This matters because exposed data is what scammers rely on to make fake texts, emails, and calls look real. The less that's out there, the harder you are to target. So using Inhumane made me realize how important it is to shrink your digital footprint. Go to incognito.com/DonLemon and use the code DonLemon for 60% off. That's Incognito, INCOGNI.com/DonLemon. They can't sell what they can't find. All right. Thank you to our sponsors. Again, we're back here in Philly. We're doing a live show tonight. DL and DL, Don Lemon and DL Hughley. Anything goes. It's going to be a great show. Sold out. And they tried to, we tried to get a second show, but there's just no more room. So if you're in Chicago, check us out on Wednesday. We'll be in Chicago. 2 shows there. An early show that doors open at 6. Show starts at 7:30. And then the late show starts at 10:30. Chicago, there's still some tickets left. You better get them. And then we may come to a town or city near you. Okay, let's talk about this. First, I just want to show you this because there's a report out, and this is from the Daily Beast, and it's talking about Kristi Noem. It is saying that she's on thin ice with Donald Trump. Kristi Noem panics when confronted about being on very thin ice with Trump. Noem might have to answer the age-old question, love or power. However, I think Trump, if you can scroll, I'm not sure how much of this we have, if we can read it, but apparently Kristi Noem squirmed when confronted with reports that her alleged boyfriend, a top advisor, may cost her her job. Homeland Security Secretary nervously laughed off rumors that Donald Trump's considering firing her over her extramarital affair with Corey Lewandowski. You guys remember Corey Lewandowski ran Donald Trump's campaign back during the 2016 election, and then they had a falling out. Trump fired him and then hired Kellyanne Conway. Do you remember that? Taking you back? So Corey Lewandowski, which has been dubbed as DC's worst kept secret. I don't have any indication of that, says Noam, who's 54, that she said during an event at Tampa International Airport in Florida on Monday. Not just that, but also, she likes to showboat. She's a showboat. She likes to take pictures. She's out there, doesn't answer questions very well. And what's happening with ICE is not helping her case, nor Donald Trump's case either. Okay, so let me tell you, this is the amount of people who have been rounded up, okay, on these ICE raids. Let me get the information here. Here it is. In March of 2025, the total number of people who were detained was 47,892. The ones with no criminal record were 23,014. That was 41%. That had 48.1% of the people rounded up had no criminal record. In November 16th of 2025, total people detained, 65,135. No criminal conviction. Well, 47,964 had no criminal conviction. That's 73.6%. They promised only the criminals, only the bad people, and that's not what they're doing. And they also promised no Americans, and that's what they're doing. These figures come from internal ICE data obtained by the Department Data Project, the Deportation Data Project. ICE often categorizes people as criminal if they have pending charges, minor infractions, or immigration-related violations. When focusing solely on convictions, the number of people with no criminal record increases significantly. Now, this story is a bit long, but I want to play it for you. This is a man who is here in the United States legally. He says he was deported to Ireland. Now, this is a long story, but I want you to hear it all the way through because these are the types of people who are being rounded up. Roll it.
I want you to watch this. This is unbelievable. And if you know anybody who is still on board with Donald Trump's ICE raids, who still thinks that this is about picking up criminals and picking up people who came here the wrong way, I want you to show this to them. This is Lee Stinton. He's from Belfast, Northern Ireland, but he's lived in Key West for a really long time. He has a partner. He works at a hair salon. He has a social security number. He pays taxes. Listen to what happened to him because he, quote unquote, looks Mexican. P.S. He's not.
This all started around, I think if I remember correctly, it was June 8th. I was on my way to work, which I did every day. I cycled every day, and I was arrested by an ICE officer and kind of kidnapped, I guess, off the street and taken to Chrome Detention Centre. The conditions in Chrome were the most inhumane thing that I've ever experienced in my life. They had nowhere for anyone to sleep. They weren't feeding people, and they were very abusive to the inmates. The holding cell that had us in for almost 8 days was meant to have 10 people in it, and there was at least 100 men. We were like sardines, all just stuck on like a cold concrete floor. I want people to know that it's not just criminals that are being taken. It's like normal, everyday people. Like myself, like I had like a correct visa. I had all my paperwork together. I had a social security number. I paid my taxes. I've never been in trouble with the police before in my life, either in America or Northern Ireland, and still they took me. You know, I think they're just looking for numbers at this point. A lot of things that either happened to me and happened to others. There was a guy that had been asking for his medication for days for his heart, and when we were out in the rec hall, he dropped dead of a heart attack in front of everyone. They kind of just moved us all away from him, but it's something that I'm never ever gonna forget. You know, ingrained in my head.
He's been deported back to Northern Ireland. He was about to marry his partner here and stay and contribute to our culture, but instead he's gone. This kind of thing is happening every single day in this country, thousands of times. Get involved, speak up. These are crimes against humanity, and if you're not helping us stop them, you're part of the problem.
Amen. And there are people who are stepping up to stop them. Minnesota residents protesting ICE agents who pepper sprayed them. This is what it looks like when you stand up. And they said, hey, if I'm arrested, I'm going to tell my kids that I was arrested for a good reason. If I am pepper sprayed, I'll tell my kids that I got pepper sprayed for a good reason. I admire these folks. Here they are.
Thank you for showing me who you are. But I want to show you who I am. I want to show you who I am. I am someone who loves their neighbor. We all are here because we love our neighbor.
Yeah, right.
We're going to be here. We're not getting paid.
We're not getting paid.
Right. But guess what? When we talk to our kids tonight, what's the highlight of our day? We got tear gas for justice. We got tear gas for doing what was right.
Yeah.
We got tear gas for standing up for our neighbors.
Yeah.
That's what we did today.
And we're going to keep doing it.
Today.
Don't give a
we
fuck.
can stand with pride. We can stand with pride, proud boy. Oh, excuse me, proud man. We can stand with pride. We can stand with pride. With pride. We can talk to our kids tonight at the dinner table about what we did. Stood up for justice. Little man. Stood up for what was right. You will be accountable for your actions. You will be accountable for your actions. You have to remember it. You have to remember it. Each one of you all will have to give an account for your actions.
On the other side.
Those are people standing up. And I think those people need to hear that. Because if there's a hell below, they are all gonna go. They're all going to go. I want to show you another thing. This is a San Antonio resident being terrorized by ICE. Again, it's important to show these pictures and for you to see them so that we don't forget and that this does not become normal. They want to normalize this. The media doesn't show this as much. Maybe the local news is showing it, but you don't see it on network news that much because they're so busy covering so much other BS that this administration is putting out there. But we need to remember what is happening with these, with the folks. Many of them are Americans, and they're not just Latinos, as you saw, the guy from Ireland, and they're picking up black folks as well. Terrorizing an American citizen. Here it is.
Now at 10, ICE operations continue in San Antonio for a second day in a row. Agents are seen arresting migrants at immigration
This
court.
isn't the one, Andy. The one is a citizen lady in traffic. She's a citizen. It looks like she's on the interstate. That's her. Did you read what it said? She had her driver's license with her. They didn't care to see it. They just put her in the police SUV or in the back of the SUV. And then they found her driver's license and she was released. That's happening to a lot of people. It could happen to, and nobody is helping her. And I know that people sit around, oh, you effed around and you found out, but that's kind of besides the point. Because it can happen to you if you allow. You can't just stand by and let folks do this. And we shouldn't be standing by and letting people do this. And they are going, as I've been telling you, into schools. And I do think it's important every single day, if the opportunity presents itself, to show these videos. Do we have the video from Zohran Mamdani? Zohran Mamdani is out there telling people, showing people what rights they have as it relates to ICE. Let me know if you have that one, because I want you to see that. Because when I saw that, I said, now I wonder if they're gonna, as they did with other people when they were telling them, you remember the Democratic lawmakers who were saying you don't have to follow unlawful orders, if they're gonna say that they should be tried and face some sort of consequences. And for Zohran Mamdani now to show people what their rights are as it relates to ICE, if they come to your home or if they try to pick you up, he's saying if they don't have a warrant that's signed by a judge, you don't have to do it. You don't have to open your door. None of this stuff. But there are other reports. Before I show you some of this stuff, I want to get a word in from our sponsors, and then we'll be back with it. Here it is. This episode of The Don Lemon Show is brought to you by Graza. Always fresh, single origin olive oil. The holidays are here, and honestly, olive oil is one of the best gifts you can give. Everyone uses it, and Graza is on another level. Their olive oil is never blended. The olives are picked, pressed, and bottled in the same season, and you can see the harvest date right on the bottle. They have beautiful ready-to-gift sets. Their dinner party pack comes with olive oil for cooking and finishing, a limited edition bottle of wine, a corkscrew, and Ebo chips. It's basically a dinner party in a box. It's a vibe, okay? They also have duo gift sets with sizzle for cooking and drizzle for finishing, now available in both squeeze bottles and glass. So I cook with Graza all the time. It makes everything taste better and looks great on the counter. Go to graza.co/Don and use the code Don for 20% off. Support comes from Aura Frames. Every holiday season, I tell myself that I'll plan ahead, and then suddenly I'm scrambling at the last minute. Aura Frames solves that problem where I'm not buying gift certificates for everybody. It's personal, it's thoughtful, and it's easy. Aura Frames lets you share photos and videos straight from your phone using their app. You can preload pictures before the frame even arrives, add a personal message, and it comes in a premium gift box. No price tag, no stress. It's the kind of gift that people actually use. New photos show up automatically. Old memories come back to life. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it. For a limited time, go to auraframes.com and get $35 off of their best-selling Carver matte frame with the promo code Don Lemon. That's auraframes.com, promo code Don Lemon. They will sell out fast, so do it. Thanks to all of our sponsors. Thank you so much to our sponsors. Okay, here as promised is Zohran Mamdani explaining to people what their rights are as it relates to ICE. Here it is.
Last weekend, ICE attempted to raid Canal Street and detain our immigrant neighbors. As mayor, I'll protect the rights of every single New Yorker, and that includes the more than 3 million immigrants who call this city their home. But we can all stand up to ICE if you know your rights. If you encounter ICE, these are the things that every New Yorker should know. First, ICE cannot enter into private spaces like your home, school, or a private area of your workplace without a judicial warrant signed by a judge. That looks like this. If ICE does not have a judicial warrant signed by a judge, you have the right to say, I do not consent to entry, and the right to keep your door closed. Sometimes ICE will show you paperwork that looks like this and tell you that they have the right to arrest you. That is false. ICE is legally allowed to lie to you, but you have the right to remain silent. If you're being detained, you may always ask, am I free to go, repeatedly until they answer you. You are legally allowed to film ICE as long as you do not interfere with an arrest. It is important to remain calm during any interaction with ICE or law enforcement. Do not impede their investigation, resist arrest, or run. One last thing. New Yorkers have a constitutional right to protest, and when I'm mayor, we will protect that right. New York will always welcome immigrants, and I will fight each and every day to protect, support, and celebrate our immigrant brothers and sisters.
So there you go. That's happening in my city, in New York City. And I think every single mayor and every single leader should be doing the same thing. You know who else is doing doing her part? And that is Adelita Grijalva, who has been out protesting, out with the people in her community. As a matter of fact, she got hit with pellets, and we'll show you the video. Here's the evidence.
Watch out, watch out. Back up. Hey, put it down. Back up. Put it down. You're a city member of Congress.
You need to calm down. You guys need to calm down and get out. You need to get out. You need to get out.
Get out of the way. You guys need to clear now.
And they also, I'm being told, she was pepper sprayed as well. And so those are the people out there fighting. And we need more representatives and more lawmakers like those two. And we need more people to stand up to the cruelty, absolute cruelty. I agree with you, beautiful one style, 8812. I agree with you. These are cruel people. So guys, I thank you all for watching today. I'm going to get ready for my show. It starts in a little bit. I wish you were here in Philadelphia with me. And I want to just make sure I got everything in that we need to talk about today. I think we do. Oh, except for one thing. I wanted to show you guys this. Somebody's running for senator. Maybe you recognize her. Roll it.
How about this new one they have? Their new star, Crockett. How about her? She's the new star of the Democrat Party, Jasmine Crockett. They're in big trouble.
But you have this woman, Crockett. She's a very low IQ person.
I watched her speak the other day. She's definitely a low IQ person. Crockett. Oh, man. Oh, man. She's a very low IQ person.
Somebody said the other day she's one of the leaders of the party. I said, you got to be kidding.
Now they're going to rely on Crockett. Crockett's going to bring them back.
Jasmine Crockett is running for Senate in the great state of Texas. And Colin Allred dropped out after just before Jasmine Crockett made her announcement. And so that's where we are right now. And that's a good ad, right? It's interesting. Okay, we'll see what happens in the race. We'll see how she does in the polling. But that's certainly an interesting opening salvo or opening video from Jasmine Crockett. Okay, guys, we're going to have fun here in Philadelphia. I'm going to see you back here tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. Eastern time, unless there's some breaking news that I need to bring you. 10 a.m. Eastern time tomorrow. So until then, until I see you then, this is what I want you to do, really. And I keep saying this to you guys every single time. You hear all the crazy bullshit that's happening on TV and all that stuff. So I would like for you to be informed without being inundated. And Colin Allred dropped out. He's running for Congress, or was he running for Senate? Oh, he was running for no, he was running for Senate, I thought. Anyways,
he was running for Senate, dropped out, and then announced he's going to run for Congress. For
Congress, yeah. There we go. Thank you. Confusing. I can only take so much information at a time. I have to figure out which merch I'm going to take off tonight because there's a lot. Okay, guys, be informed without being inundated. Until I see you back here at 10 a.m. Eastern time for Hot Topics on the Don Lemon Show and the Don Lemon Channel. I want you to turn the TV off.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.